Hey, what's up everyone? Today I'm back inside my kitchen showing you how to make a classic home-cooked Chinese meal. I'm going to show you how to make a 鹹魚蒸豬肉餅. So for all my non-Asian friends, this is a Chinese style meatloaf. It is very flat and steamed. Now there are many variations of Chinese steamed pork patties, but this one with the saltfish, it's my favorite. So like for all Chinese classic comfort food, there isn't a lot of ingredients. As you can see right here I have 400 grams of ground pork, and this is about 25 grams of salted fish. This fish is not totally dehydrated. I prefer the saltfish, well, the Chinese saltfish that is totally dehydrated. So this one still has some moisture to it, and because this style of saltfish is not totally dehydrated, it can still go bad. And right here is about 60 or 70 grams of chigu. Chigu is water chestnuts. It's widely used in Asian cooking, but this style of water chestnuts in Thailand is canned, and it looks like this. I can't find fresh ones in Thailand. But anyways, in this country, they normally eat water chestnuts in syrup because it is a dessert ingredient. So if you're using the same type of water chestnuts that I am, covered in syrup, make sure you wash off the syrup because you don't want too much sugar in this dish. And right here is just some ginger that I julienned. This will be sprinkled on top of the julienned when it's almost finished steaming. And this is about 2 teaspoons of spring onions or green onions, whatever you want to use, plus 2 tablespoons of corn flour. The corn flour is going to help bind the meat patty, and it's also going to give it a very nice smooth texture. And the corn flour is going to mix with the sauce ingredients that I'm going to add into this pork. I'm going to create a nice little gravy, or in Chinese we call it jiao. Speaking about the sauces, I'm going to need 2 tablespoons of light soy sauce and 1 tablespoon of oyster sauce, 1 teaspoon of pure sesame oil, a large dash of ground white pepper, about half a teaspoon, okay? And 2 teaspoons of sugar. And then I'm just gonna mix this up for a little bit first, just to get it started. Because there's a couple ingredients that I still have to add, like the water chestnuts. So I'm gonna mince this. Now, if you never had water chestnut before, it has a texture of an apple, but it has a very subtle taste. So, because you don't want the taste to overpower the pork patty. All right, and then we just add it to our pork. Just throw it in with the pork. And then finally, last ingredient, the corn flour, 2 tablespoons. What the corn flour or cornstarch to you folks in North America, what corn flour does is it's going to give the pork a smoother flavor, and it's also going to create a nice little gravy as it steams with the sauces in the pork. Alright, so I've mixed this for about 4 to 5 minutes, and as you can see, the pork looks a little bit streaky and really sticky, so that's enough mixing. Alright, so now for the salt fish. Now when my mom made it, or my godmother, I used to go over to her home to eat lunch every Sunday with my dad. The salt fish would just be placed on top of the pork patty. But I recall, I think in Singapore, or was it in Malaysia, where salt fish is mixed into the pork patty. But I'm going to do it the way that my mom did it, or I had it back at home, so which is putting the salt fish on top of the pork patty. Now at home, typically, again, when my mom made it, she would put the pork patty on a plate like this, okay, which is about like an inch high, and then just steam it on a medium-high heat for about 8 to 10 minutes, and it should be perfect, which is how most Chinese households did. But for me, because I'm just crazy about cooking on clay pots, I'm going to be steaming my pork patty and my saltfish on top of this clay pot. So I'm just gonna start off by cooking my rice. Meanwhile, I'm just gonna form my pork patty. So it will be easier for me to place it into my clay pot later on. Reminds me so much of my mom's cooking. Okay, and now I'm just gonna place the salt fish on top, just like that. Okay, so for anyone that wants to cook this the same way that I'm doing it on a clay pot, make sure you wash the rice really well, okay? So you will have rice that has a better texture and less sticky. Now in that pot, I have about 1.5 cups of Thai jasmine rice, and I added 1 3/4 cup of water. Now I got a message before about why I don't measure my rice with my finger. Now I'm gonna tell you something weird, okay? For some reason, it doesn't work for me. Why? I don't know. I don't have maybe because I don't have a standard issue index finger. But every time that I do it, my rice is undercooked. So from now on, whenever I cook rice, I just use like dry measuring cups, and that's it. And at the moment, I'm cooking my rice at a low medium heat. Okay, so my rice has been cooking for about 4 minutes. Let's take a look at how the rice looks. All right, so it's starting to dry out. That's what I'm looking for. Time to put it in my pork patty. All right. I'm also gonna drizzle in some oil on top. Just a little bit of oil. Put the lid back on, and then I'm gonna lower the heat even more, okay? To a low heat. And I'm just going to let that steam for about 5 minutes. And it is really important that you lower your heat because if there's no water inside that clay pot from the rice, you're gonna run the risk of cracking your clay pot. All right, so it's been about 6 minutes. Let's see how it looks. Check that out, it looks awesome. At this point, I'm gonna put in my ginger. I don't like to add my ginger in too early, all right? Because I still have to cook this for just a little bit. My lid back on and let it steam for another 5 minutes because believe it or not, inside that pot is still a lot of heat. That's a great thing about cooking with clay pots. It retains a lot of heat. So in about 5 minutes, the ginger is gonna really soften up because I don't like ginger that is too soft. That's just my personal preference. I don't eat ginger all the time, but when I do, I don't like it like too mushy. And it will be much more flavorful with the pork and the salt fish. Oh, these are always so heavy. I can never get used to the weight of these. And it's still really hot. Let's take a look. Check that out. Isn't that just gorgeous? I already put in some some spring onions. I'm gonna add just a little bit more. And whoa, doesn't that just look awesome? I can't wait to dig into this. My mouth is like salivating, you know? Oh, damn. You know, all the time, every single time, whenever there's saltfish, my cat Smokey, hey buddy, can you please get out of the way? I'm working here. Yeah, he's always in the way. Okay, let's try this baby out. Look, that nice juice. Oh, I don't even know what to dig into first. Pork patty, my Julienned. I'm gonna go into my Julienned first. Let's take a bite into this. I know it's gonna be hot. I know I'm gonna burn my mouth, but it's gonna be worth it. Just a little piece of that saltfish. This really takes me back to home. You know, from the amount of feedback that I get from my viewers, I know that most of the people watching this are about the same age as me, with very similar backgrounds. And we all miss our mom's cooking, or we all miss the food that we had back then when we were kids growing up. I'm letting you guys know, you try this Julienned saltfish steamed pork patty, you can continue this type of dish, its legacy, and share it with your friends and family so that nobody is ever gonna forget it. So remember, as always, I do deliveries, I take Bitcoins and Camels as payment. Hope to see you all again next time. Take care. Goodbye.